Welcome to the Richmond Leadership Lab, featuring business and nonprofit leaders across Richmond, Virginia. Produced and hosted by FilmSpire and Ben X.
Welcome back to another episode of the Richmond Leadership Lab podcast. As always, I'm Taylor Quinn, CEO of FilmSpire. I'm always joined by my wonderful co-host, Christian Mosier with Ben X Consulting.
Good to be here.
It's
Number
great
10.
to be here. Number 10.
Oh, you're on the double-digit podcast episode.
First double digit. Yeah, exactly.
Don't they say that like 60% of podcasts after 5 episodes are done?
I think so.
Something
And 10
like
is sort
that.
of like a big benchmark to get through, I think. We digress. But we're here, of course, with an amazing leader. We've had 9 great leaders. This is our 10th great leader for the Richmond Leadership Lab. Today, we are speaking to my good friend. He is the CEO and co-founder of Workshop Digital. That's Brian Forrester. Brian, thanks for coming.
Taylor, it's great to be here, and I'm honored to be number 10.
It's a great number.
Chipper Jones.
I know.
That's a great number. Growing
Exactly. Brian, you're a little bit familiar with this space, aren't you?
I am. We had an office upstairs. 2011 or 12, we moved in upstairs. Had a lot of growth here. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a beautiful facility.
It's super cool. We're downtown in Shockoe Bottom. If you don't know, come check us out. It's a great space.
Yeah.
Brian, let's jump in. You and I have known each other, on and off for 5+ years, I'd say at this point, kind of pre-COVID. We're both kind of in the marketing space and things like that. So tell us, if you could, a little bit about, just real quick, Workshop Digital. We'll circle back to you, but for people who don't know who Workshop Digital is, give us kind of the elevator pitch.
Yeah, sure. So Workshop Digital is a full-service digital marketing agency. What does that mean? Great question, right? Different things to different people, right? For us, it means that we are fairly end-to-end, click-to-close digital marketing, right? So we're really big on analytics, real heavy on analytics to prove value. So that's SEO, traditional SEO, GEO, which we can talk about later and get into if you want to, generative engine optimization. So in the age of AI, how do you optimize to show up in ChatGPT or Grok or Perplexity? And then we have a paid team as well. So the paid team is everything from paid search, traditional paid search, shopping, programmatic, paid social channels, including Meta, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, those sort of things as well. We layer analytics on top of all of that. And then on top of that, we layer on CRO, so conversion rate optimization. So how do we work smarter, not harder?
Right.
You can drive leads infinitely to the top of the funnel, but if we can broaden the bottom of the funnel, we can get more sales, right?
Nice.
So that's sort of, once we've got good consistency in our lead flow, how do we get more of those folks to convert? So that's sort of our bread and butter.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
That's a whole different.
yeah.
Sorry to cut you
No,
off.
no,
That's a whole different ball game. Leads versus closed business is just two completely separate things.
Yeah.
I think customers, clients are expecting more than leads these days, right? Everyone thinks they want leads until they've got hundreds of leads and no sales.
No, 2% conversion rate. It's like, well,
Waste of time
Right.
and energy. Yeah.
That's right.
yeah.
And all that. So, Brian, tell us, how long has Workshop Digital been around?
We celebrated our 10-year anniversary
That's right.
in May.
Okay.
Yeah, in May. My co-founder and I started separate digital marketing agencies in 2007 and 2009. We met in 2011 on Twitter.
Okay.
Ended up sharing an office space together downtown that predated this space here, and decided to merge teams in 2015. So it's been a great ride thus far, and let me tell you, digital marketing looks just a little bit different than it did in 2009.
2009. Wow.
Congrats on 10 years.
That is huge.
thank you.
Exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Brian, tell us, how did you really kind of, just your background, where you grew up, and how did you get into digital marketing and things like that in that space?
Okay, well, I'll try to make this brief. Going all the way back to where I grew up. I grew up in a small town an hour and a half east of here on the northern neck of Virginia called Lively, Virginia.
Wow. Okay.
Was it lively?
It did not live up to the name, but it was a great place to grow up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I grew up with access to the water, grew up, swimming and skiing and boat riding and fishing and camping and spending a lot of time outdoors. and just was surrounded by a lot of other great people. So friends that I am really close with to this day came out of this cool little magical corner of the world. So if you ever get a chance, I highly encourage you to get down there. Maybe not Lively, but Irvington and some of the other places that you may have heard of where the Tides Inn is. So I grew up in a really beautiful natural part of the state. So Virginia, born and raised. And after high school, went to JMU. Out in Harrisonburg, and loved that. Loved the mountains. Loved JMU. Go Dukes! But I like being on the water. I think I've got that in my soul. Ended up, interestingly, I'll give you the really, really short version, but ended up in Arizona at the Conservatory of Recording Arts after JMU. Got an audio engineering degree and went to Hollywood and worked in a studio similar to this for Clive Davis, recording. At that time, mostly pop artists. So I got to meet some celebrities, got to hang out with some famous people, got to record some amazing music, and got to the realization that I'm an East Coast guy and I don't love Hollywood.
Give us an example of like the music.
Of someone that we recorded?
Yeah.
So we recorded Justin Timberlake's second album. Yep. We recorded Ruben Studdard, did a lot of work for him. Really, the list goes on and on. Jamie Foxx, we recorded when he did Ray. He decided he wanted to be a musician, so he recorded some albums. So got a lot of exposure to a lot of talent. Just didn't love the Hollywood lifestyle. Beautiful place out there. Great place to visit is what I say. Go see it. But man, Richmond's a special place. So growing up an hour and a half east of the city, my mother and her family were from Richmond. And so when my mom wanted us to have a cultured experience, she would take us to the city. So I got to spend a lot of time in Richmond as a child. And it became an obvious place for me to move back to, close enough to home but far enough away so that I could start building my own career. So when I came back, I was lucky enough when I was in audio engineering, I was right at the convergence of the internet speed and technology getting to a place where, and digital recording getting to a place where you could record fully digitally and then transmit it over the internet, which now it sounds like, well, that's not really that big of a deal. But back in 2003 and 4, like these really, dense files that were really large at the time, gigabyte files, weren't transferable. So I saw that the internet was going to change the way everything that we did worked in business. And so taking a step, zooming out a little bit, I started to focus on marketing because I knew that was an area that was going to be ripe for disruption. So I think, a little lucky on the timing, just being born at the right time, and then maybe a little lucky in understanding that there was going to be an opportunity there to leverage the internet to get in front of customers in a new way.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to remember that was the first iPhone came out, I think, in 2007.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was several years before that. And, of course, that upended how we use the internet. It disrupted everything in a pretty major way. So, worked for a consultancy here for a while, stood up a multi-million-dollar business for my boss at the time, and got a crash course in digital marketing. At the time, I was young. And so my boss said, well, you're young, build me a website. And so I figured it out, and I built him a website and didn't use any of my formal training at all, right? You're young, figured out how to get customers to this website. And so I started researching this thing called PPC, or pay-per-click advertising. I started researching SEO, or search engine optimization, and started realizing there were a lot of people on the internet searching for these consulting services, and we were driving a lot of new business and a lot of leads by being, early adopters on this platform.
Yeah, wow.
I was also doing all the sales. And so I was like, okay, I'm doing sales, I'm doing SEO, I'm doing PPC, I'm doing all the fulfillment. I'm doing a lot of the business, right? Naively, I thought, well, I'm doing a lot of the business. I can do this on my own. So 2009, I built Dynamic Web Solutions, which was my first company, and started moonlighting nights and weekends, picking up local clients through friends and whatnot. And
that's the way to do it.
That's evolved to where we are today. Yeah.
The glory days.
Yeah.
Do you ever look back on those days and be like, man, that was something else?
I do. Distance from something, I think, changes your perception.
Yeah, 100%. It's
quite
like
a
people
bit.
who went to VMI. right? 100%.
Right.
I got some good buddies who went to VMI, and they say it's like an illusion thing, to where they're like, they go, it's great. They go and it's like really difficult, very like tough thing to do. And then a couple years after graduation, like, oh, okay. And then a couple more years, they're like, that was kind of good.
When you're on the other side of it looking back, it's
Yeah.
always like with fond memories. And it was a lot of hard work. Again, I think timing was a critical factor for me. Right place, right time, and just perseverance was critical. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the novelty of it all. Everything was new. Once I went from forming an LLC to getting tax help to finding customers that didn't compete with the consultancy that I was still working for, and trying to make sure that I was in compliance with any sort of non-compete that existed there. Everything was this brave new world, and I was turned on to a lot of business books and shout out to the Richmond business community. I mean, obviously you guys are a big part of it, and this podcast is contributing to it in a meaningful way. But this is a really great place for entrepreneurs to start businesses. It's really a welcoming community. I found it to be extremely welcoming, helpful, embraced me with open arms, and I try to do the same thing now that we've had some measure of success, is to try to keep giving back.
Do you remember your first client?
I do. I won't drop their name, but it was a home builder client who was also a neighbor of mine that lived a block away. Friend of mine, trusted me enough to give me money to do work.
It's a whole different deal. It's an idea, and then someone gives you money for it.
It became real fast. And even more pressure because it's a friend, right? So you really want to knock the cover off the ball because it's a friend that's trusting you, and you know that they've got a wife and kids, and you want to make their business successful. Fortunately, I can say we did. We did knock the cover off the ball and drove a whole lot of revenue for that business, and that business led to their sister company becoming a client, and then the word starts to get out, and a combination of friends and family referrals up front, and just good old-fashioned networking, getting out and going to the different networking events that are out there that are free or affordable, and shaking hands and meeting people.
Wow. Yeah. So it sounds like you kind of like led that classic entrepreneur story of like, I'm going to start out and I'm doing everything by myself. I'm a one-man band or really small, and then you kind of expand and grow over time. How big is Workshop Digital now? How many employees do you have?
It's about 30 of us
30.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you kind of grow from like, okay, I'm like a doer of all the things, I'm managing the PPC campaigns, I'm doing all that, to like learning how to delegate and kind of grow and scale over time? What was that like for you? Or what was that realization like, I can't do this all by myself anymore?
Yeah. Where to begin? That honestly, that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
100%.
A lot of people become business owners because they're good at their craft, the thing that they do, right? The hardest thing about growing a business is realizing that you have to distance yourself at some point from that stuff in order to scale, or you become the largest roadblock to your own growth and success. So, I've got mixed emotions about that, because every business book I've read, every business coach I've had, every executive leadership summit I've been to, the most common advice I hear is, you've got to replace yourself in every role in order to grow and build a scalable, sustainable business. And that hasn't 100% been my experience. It can be true, but I think that you take that advice with a grain of salt. I think you need to be really careful about what you try to outsource or hire in, especially if it's something that you were so good at, you were able to build a business around it. My advice would be to hold on to that thing and outsource every other thing, or hire in for everything else, because there's a lot to running a business, right? There's administration, there's operations, there are finance, HR, sales, whatever the service or product delivery is a piece of that, right?
Right.
So if you're good at one of those elements, hang on to it as long as you can, because there's probably not many people that are going to be able to do it as well as you. Certainly not that care as much as you do, since you own the business.
The whole thing too is outsourcing what you're not good at as well, and but keeping the things that really move the needle forward.
Yeah.
It's like, what are like the 2 things or 3 things that you do personally that really moves the needle forward? And it's like, if it's not those 2 or 3 things, but it's also tough at the same time because then you take out of your net profit and you hire someone. It's a whole ordeal.
Yeah.
I know.
And I think at some point, so, I'm in the service business, right? So at some point when we hired our 6th or 7th or 10th client, I could no longer facilitate all the sales conversations, all the networking events, and deliver and execute really high quality work for all of those accounts, right? Plus manage any vendor relationships I had. And so going from 1 to 2 is a big jump for business owners, but it is a necessary one. So just understanding, if throughput, even if you are the best videographer or the best digital marketer out there, if that's the service, you're going to have to find somebody else that's good at it at some point that wants to come work for you. And that first hire is taking a chance on you too.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
And so I think
true.
that's an important thing to consider is, if you're looking for a job, do you want to go to Capital One or to this company you've never heard of that's got 1 employee, which is the owner, and then your employee too, but we were able to find those people that believed in what we were, our vision or my vision in the early days. And they need a lot of training and support. But I think, we can get into the details if you want about how you do that. But I think, to your point, thinking through the impact on gross or really net profitability as you start to hire is a big impact. Thinking on your customer relationships. If everyone knows Taylor and that's why they're working with FilmSpire and suddenly Taylor's not there, it's like, well, that's why I'm using FilmSpire, right?
Yeah.
So you feel some of that too. That's been my experience, is that you really want to be careful with those early hires because they're representing your personal brand, which is at this point probably has more equity than your actual brand and logo do.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
It's so true.
But it's so fun, right? Like because very few people are entrepreneurs. A lot of people either stumble upon leadership roles or grow towards certain, CFO, CEO, COO roles. And the entrepreneur route is a whole different route. But it's also riveting. Like you said, the novelty of it is really cool.
Yeah. It's a you have to jump from the nest sort of scenario. Yeah. And if you're working in a company and working your way up the ladder, it's not the same kind of life or death feeling, right? You're sort of groomed to be a CEO internally if you work your way up the ranks. Not to say that it's not hard to do. There's very, very few people obviously make it into those sort of C-suite positions in these big corporations or even mid-sized companies. It's hard to do. It is a totally different thing to abandon the security blanket of a 9-to-5 with a steady paycheck and a good benefits package and go build something from scratch.
Yeah.
It is a trust fall, but there's no one there to really catch you. Somehow you got to catch yourself, right?
Yeah. At some point.
Yeah. And so I think the stakes are higher, but the rewards are way bigger too. I think I would rather have done nothing other than what I've done to get to where I am today. Yeah. And I think it's definitely the thing I'm most proud of. It's my proudest accomplishment is building what is now a workshop.
Yeah. So what was it like then for you to you and your co-founder merged? What year again was that?
That's 2015.
2015. So what did that conversation look like? Like what drove you to decide, let's join forces, let's do this thing together?
Yeah, because you were 6 years in at that point?
Yes, I was 6 years in.
Did you have a couple employees?
My co-founder was 8 years in.
Gotcha. And you had a couple employees at that time, or was it just you?
At that time, I had about 15 employees.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so we had gone through some big growth upstairs at the In Your Ear Studios offices.
Yeah,
come on,
Chaco Bottom, Richmond, Virginia. So it was a classic romance. I got down on one knee and proposed to Andrew, and he was a little reluctant, but since I put him on the spot, he said yes, and we've been happily
it's all about
married
the ring.
ever
Exactly.
since. It was a nice ring.
Hopefully you spent a lot.
It was funny. So Andrew and I met through Twitter in 2011. We were introduced through a common friend. Andrew was looking for someone to send some SEO work to because he was focused on the paid search side of things, and I was at the time focused on the SEO organic search side of things. things. And so we met at a Panera, as one did back then, after a DM through Twitter, and back in the days when Twitter wasn't a cesspool of human garbage. But we'll save that for a different podcast. And had a great conversation. Immediately hit it off, and I was like, I'm looking for office space. If you happen to know of anything, he said, "Funny you say that. Me and this other guy are getting ready to sign a lease downtown Chaco Bottom." And I was like, "I'm in. I don't even need to see it. I'm in." So we worked in an office together early on. 3 guys, 3 businesses, no employees, just 3 of us, and we were competitive. And I think it was like this was pre-co-working space, but it felt like a co-working space, right, where we were fueling each other's competitive drive. We were we were trying to land similar clients. We were celebrating wins with gong rings and playing a ton of Nerf basketball. I mean, we got
love that.
Very good at Nerf basketball back then. Yeah. We could take we could hit any shot with our eyes closed. Like we call it triple bank. We could hit it. My God.
So
we had a lot more free time back then.
Yeah, today. We brought a hoop. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go. Let's roll it out. Turn the cameras off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we had, long story short, we had known each other and worked together quite a bit, and had a great relationship. And he moved his team as he started to hire out closer to his house. He was closer out to Innsbruck. I moved into this space right here, upstairs and in your ear. And the other guy stayed in the space. And Andrew and I stayed in touch. We had what we called co-founder beers or founder beers back then. And we would brag a little bit. Hey, I just got this logo, or I'm working with them, or, oh, did you pitch that one? I won it. A little bit of humble brag, a little bit of competition, but in a friendly way.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, we're pitching the same work. You do this, I do this. Like, we even shared some of the same accounts, right? So he would provide half the services, I would provide the other, including my first client that I mentioned earlier to you, the home builder. I had introduced him to Andrew, and he had hired Andrew. So we were sitting in on client meetings together. We were like, it just kind of feels right. We had talked about it earlier in maybe 2012, 2013, and the timing wasn't right. And then in 2014, over a founder's beer, I was like, what do you think about it this time? And he was like, timing feels good. At the time, he was probably 5 employees, and I was about 15. We hired Fahrenheit, a local consulting group. Yep. They were a big help for us. Shout out to those guys over there. Rich was really instrumental in connecting us with the right people, and they helped facilitate the conversations in a sort of non-biased, as a facilitator, non-biased way. Worked with Kiter. The CPA firm here in town. They helped facilitate some of that, and Williams Mullen on the legal side to help draw up the contract. So I worked with all local firms. A lot of love for the Richmond companies here. All 3 of those companies do fantastic work and have been an asset for us along the way, and came to terms that worked for everyone. And so 2015. We decided to make it official in May. We merged the teams covertly early because they had all found out through the grapevine. And then made the big public announcement in May, and did a signing day. So we had like a jersey, and did like the pen like it was signing on to the sports team. That's cool. For Workshop Digital, and that was done right here in this building. Yeah. So it was really cool.
Was that a new name?
Yeah. So Workshop Digital was a new name. Yep. So the idea of Workshop Digital, Andrew and I came up with that. We were thinking about how we handcraft solutions in an otherwise kind of cold and ones and zeros digital world. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Our families both have building, carpentry backgrounds, and we grew up with workshops in our backyards where we saw our parents as makers making things, and we really liked that approach of like, we're not carrying on the maker tradition with physical tools, but we're doing it through our high touch, high relationship, customized strategies for our clients in a way that feels, I hate the word bespoke now because it's been so played out, but I feel like
custom
in a way that's really, in a way that we felt like differentiated us from other businesses that were really all about those sort of online systems exclusively. How can we automate everything and make it as sort of cold and conveyor belt as possible? Everything that we do for our clients is totally custom. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could imagine like a lot of people who have businesses or CEOs are thinking about merging and what that looks like and the process for what that could go like. Was that, I'm sure, was it exciting? Was it also stressful? What was that kind of like for you on your end?
Because they say it's like marriage. I guess that's why you said proposing.
Yeah, it is. With maybe even more consequences, right? There's a lot on the line when you merge with someone. And we've all heard the horror stories, right? I think more often than not, statistically, they don't work out, and they end badly. And so Andrew and I've been very fortunate in that we don't fight. We don't yell and scream at each other. We call it like we see it, and we have honest conversations. We disagree, but we disagree like gentlemen and politely. We don't let our emotions get the better of us, and we understand the sort of long-term view of what we're trying to achieve here, and try to keep that in perspective as we're dealing with in the weeds day-to-day topics that come up in our leadership meetings. And that's been key. That's been a key recipe. And, we have a thing like clear the air. And before we do a quarterly pulse together where we get out of the weeds because we're wearing hats, we have job descriptions and we're W-2 employees, but we're also owners, right? Yeah. So as owners, we like to step back once a quarter or more and talk about the business, looking up at it from on high instead of sort of down in the weeds with our sleeves rolled up, which is where we spend a lot of our time. And we start those meetings with clear the air. Anything that I said that upsets you recently, or anything I've done that could have handled better. And it's just a safe place for us to discuss those things, right? Cool. And
I like that. Clear the air.
Yeah, clear the air, and it's something that they do in the Virginia Council of CEOs as well. And it's a valuable process if it's done well, right? A clear the air can't turn into a fight. Because you try to clear the air and then the person you're clearing the air with gets defensive. Right. Right. Yeah, that's not how it works, right? You have to be willing to accept the feedback, hear it, and just say thank you for saying that and leave it at that, right? It's not about trying to justify. It's that person's POV and it's their prerogative to clear the air with you. And if you give it that safe space to live, it can be pretty magical, honestly. Like I feel like in our political landscape right now, we kind of need some of that.
I was just thinking about that.
Seriously.
When you said that, I said, "Are you going to run for politics?"
Absolutely not. No.
We need some more of that, especially with all like the ads that are coming now.
Gosh,
fun fact: I was part of I was on the town council and the planning commission for a small town that we moved to during COVID. So back in my hometown in Irvington, my wife and I had a house there and moved there full time, and I got involved in politics for a short stint there, and my quality of life degraded pretty rapidly. I felt like it's a meat grinder. It's a meat grinder out there. But I think in general, making space to hear other people, it's a good general practice that could help us all. Just
totally
stop talking, start listening.
How do you guys do that with employees?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Oh man. I think one of the things that leaders can do that can create the biggest impact is listen. Too often there's this feeling that as a leader you're supposed to have every answer already, in your back pocket and ready to deliver when the question is presented to you. And we all know that's not true, right? Like a lot of times like as an entrepreneur, you've jumped off the cliff. You don't really know what you're going to get into. Hopefully the parachute wings or the wings work, right? But you're going to encounter new stuff every day. And your team, as you grow, is often way closer to the stuff that you're trying to solve, right? And so it's silly to think that you're going to have all the answers, or that you should just because your title is CEO or co-founder or whatever. Just because you're in a position of power doesn't mean you need to have all the answers. And so listening to our team has made us a better company. Building a better agency is sort of our purpose or our mission. We want to challenge the sort of negative, stigma around agency life. It's like you work 80 hours a week, they burn you up, they chew you out, they never listen to you. They're always on to the next one. We've taken the opposite approach on that, and we're trying to challenge a lot of the like business norms or paradigms that are out there that you read in all these business tomes. A lot of them are dusty, and there is a better way to do it, and it often does start with listening. It doesn't mean you have to take action. It doesn't mean that they're right, but they certainly have a voice, and they should be able to use it, and they should be able to use it in a safe environment where there's no fear of repercussions. Right, as soon as an employee shares something and receives a negative response, whether it's you yell at them or you shut it down, you say, well, that's a dumb idea. On to the,
Why would we ever do that?
Right. Stupid. Right. If you do that, they're not going to share ideas anymore. Right. And you've turned them off, right? They're no longer going to be advocates for your brand. They're no longer going to give you 110%, right? They're going to tune out. And they're probably eventually going to go look for somewhere else to work. Yeah. And so we listen. We've got a lot of mechanisms for listening at Workshop too. So let's say you want to say something, but you don't want to say it directly to an owner or someone else. Maybe it applies to one of us. We have a purely anonymous online feedback mechanism where we have no idea who sent it. There's no IP tracking. There's nothing. Totally anonymous. You submit it. We have no idea who sent it, but we still read it and we still acknowledge it, right? And if we can take action on it, we will. And we've learned a lot through that mechanism. People were scared to do that because like, oh, what is everyone going to say? It's like, what are they going to say, right? Like, don't you want to know what they're going to say?
Because they're saying it anyway.
They're saying it anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just not saying anything and then all of a sudden.
100%.
Like they're saying it anyway.
They're saying it anyway, and they're probably saying it to each other, and that can be poisoning the well over time, right? So giving everyone an outlet is huge. We also have a core values survey. We send that out every quarter. How's the company doing on our core values, right? We survey them, and they survey us on core values, right? So there's more of a, how are we aligned on these sort of things or not?
Yeah.
We have peer-to-peer and manager to team member feedback mechanisms as well. So we're trying to keep all of these channels open so that if you've got to air a grievance or if you've got a great idea that you're sitting on, there's a way for you to surface that in a meaningful way.
You've been... And all this makes so much sense now for why you guys have been like awarded like Virginia's best places to work outside, is it Outside Magazine, like best places to work too as well? Like what are some of these other things you feel like you are doing that are helping to create this culture where it's a great place to work and people want to work?
Yeah, well, thanks for acknowledging those awards. That's probably some of the stuff that we're most proud of. Like we win awards in our industry for the quality of our work product, and that's also amazing because it's validating, right, that we're doing.
You guys
good
just
work.
won an award for
we just won
Search
Best PPC agency in the country.
Wow.
US Search Awards, which is sort of our Grammys, which is a big deal. So
That's
we're really
awesome.
really excited about that. We have won Outside Best Places 7 or 8 times. We've won Virginia Best Places to Work 7 or 8 times over the years. We forgot to
over a
submit
decade. That's a pretty good hit rate.
Yeah, well, we didn't submit it right when we first started, which we should have, and then we forgot to submit it one year. I think it was COVID or something where we were just scrambling to figure out like how are we going to run this business now that COVID's here. And we forgot to submit it, but we've had a pretty good track record other than that. I think there was one year that we legitimately submitted and didn't win it, but we do have a good track record there, right? And
really
so there's
do.
no way to game that system. You can't pay for results, right? It's an anonymous survey conducted by a third party around the culture of the company, and the survey is really extensive. Read those survey questions. There are a lot of clues in there about how to build a good company or a great company or a best places to work company, right? Like the things that they're asking about are the things that you should be focusing on, right? So we, the feedback mechanisms, right? The psychologically, physically safe work culture, in a hybrid remote world, critically important, right? We, during COVID, started experimenting with something that was way out of the box, which is a 4-day work week. This was an idea that we had been discussing internally, and then one of our employees had surfaced it as well, and we were like, we couldn't tell them right away. Well, we're actually already talking about this, but I think a lot of employers would be like, "Screw you, man! 4-day work week. What are you talking about? Like get back to work. It's a 5-day work week. If you're lucky, it's not a 6-day work week. Right." We took a different look at it, and we're like, let's look at the data. So we looked at our email usage in and out So we have Google. We use the G Suite product suite, so we can go look at Gmail utilization, not on an employee level, but aggregate level. We looked at calendar data. How many meetings with clients do we have, or internally on Friday? We looked at data in and out, download, upload from our Google Drive, which is where we store all of our client documents. We looked at Basecamp utilization, which is our project management platform. It was the slowest day of the week by far. We polled some clients. Clients were like, dude, you guys rock. As long as you can continue to deliver, what if there's an emergency? So we built an emergency email, an emergency solution that automatically routed to all the managers so that we can respond quickly on a Friday if we needed to. We did our homework. We worked with a company, an international company that wrote the book on the 4-day work week and got some mentorship from them. And we rolled it out. That's thinking way outside the box on building a better workplace culture, right? 3-day weekend every weekend, plus 3 days of paid vacation, right? We heard from some of our employees that were going out on maternity and paternity leave that the short-term disability that we offer is great, but it's not the same as their full comp, right? And so we took a hard 60%. You know, we looked hard at that, and we're like, can we do better? We can. And so we're going to fully comp you. We're going to not use that benefit. We're going to take it out of our own out of our revenue, and we're going to fully fund it for 12 weeks for anyone that's taking maternity or paternity leave. So that was feedback that we got from a team that felt empowered to give us feedback that most people would be terrified. Like, hey, give us more time off, pay more during our maternity and paternity leave while we're not contributing to the company at all. Yeah. Right. We looked at that a little differently than I think most companies would. Right. We also pay people to volunteer. Right. We are ingrained in this Richmond culture, and we feel like we have a corporate responsibility to give back to the community that we're part of. Yeah. We're lucky to be in this community, and we want to find ways to give back. And there's a ton going on in the nonprofit space. Amazing work happening.
What have you guys done recently, volunteer-wise? Like
we work with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation a lot. I'm on the Virginia Advisory Council there. We've been long-term supporters of Fetch a Cure, which is a nonprofit that built one of the only oncology suites for pets in the state. They were pioneers in that regard. We've been working with them forever. We work with Habitat for Humanity, building houses. That's been amazing. And we're talking to a lot of other nonprofits about ways to extend it. So if there are people in the nonprofit space that are listening to this, please reach out. We're always growing our involvement. There are others on the list that I'm forgetting just sort of in the moment on the spot, but we've got a whole list of them on our website that we work with. And, we look for a combination of dollars donated, right, which do have real impact, but really time donated. When you look at the nonprofit space, they're really hurting for two things. It's dollars and time, right? And the time is where you can really have a lot of impact. So we found that, and this was through trial and error, that, we were like, look, we want everyone to volunteer. Let's lead by example. So we started with, hey, Andrew and I are going out and volunteering. We're sharing back the images. We're like, hey, we'd encourage you to come do the same thing. Shalom Farms, that's another one that we've done a lot of work with. Hey, we're going to go out here and clean up some garden beds. Come out and check it out. Hey, we're going to go build this house with Habitat. Hey, we're going to go clean the Bay Day. We're going to go clean the James. Everything that we tried, and there was a thing called Helping Hands RVA that I think it's gotten absorbed by something else now, but it's still around, where they would do these giant volunteer effort days. And we would have one or two people. We were like, man, we just can't get traction on this thing. Let's pay everyone for it. Yeah. So it's volunteer, like paid time to volunteer. We still weren't getting as much volunteer time as we wanted. So then we were like, let's hand off gamifying it or growing it to the team. So we built a community committee that's entirely team-led, no managers or owners allowed. And they have taken it to heights we would have never imagined. Wow. Volunteerism is way up. Right. And our community impact is way up. And our community impact extends to the 7 or 8 states that we operate in. So our team is now distributed. We've got a local team here that's about 1/3 of the company, and 2/3 are in other states. So that impact has now had a bigger ripple effect than ever.
Wow, that's cool.
And the key was getting us out of the way. Imagine that.
Yeah.
We'll be right back
after this short message.
Are employee benefits a headache for your company? At BenX, we simplify benefits so you can focus on growing your business. From custom benefit solutions to cutting-edge technology, we make it easy for companies to take care of their teams. Visit benxconsulting.com to see how we can simplify benefits for your growing company.
Your story is powerful, but is it reaching the right audience? At FilmSpire, we create compelling videos and provide marketing strategies to make sure they drive real results. From crafting your message to amplifying it, we help you connect with your audience like never before. Ready to inspire? Let's tell your story. And now, back to the show.
Are you guys still operating on the 4-day?
Yeah, we're still operating on the 4-day. Yeah, we've been operating on the 4-day for, I think, about 2 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And are you all also, I know you guys have an office in Scott's Addition. You guys also have hybrid or remote employees, or kind of what does that look like? Like what did the transition look like during COVID and then back to work and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. COVID was a bomb that just blew everything up, you know. Pre-COVID, March 12, 2020, we're 100% in office. We had moved down into Shockoe Bottom into a big space down there in the Turning Basin building and had 7,000 square feet. We had just signed a 10-year lease on 10,000 square feet up here in Scotts in a brand new build that we had hired, architects and builders and had built it all out. And, there's a BizSense picture somewhere that you can surface of me and Andrew proudly standing in front of this new construction building that, naively we thought we'd be in as we expanded our team. March 13 is when the governor shut down everything. And our whole world changed pretty much overnight. And so, some good came out of that. We were able to hire the best talent across the country without having to relocate people here. Or, if folks weren't willing to relocate, we were just passing up talent because we wanted everyone to be local.
Right.
But we had to figure out how to run a business in 3 different time zones pretty quickly, which was challenging. So we now have employees in all 3 of the continental United States time zones. We had to figure out how to get computers and all of the accessories
to them,
yeah, and back from them if they left, or was it even worth it to get it back from them? We had to build. How do you set up hybrid meetings? All that stuff we had to figure out sort of on the fly, as did everyone else. That's sort of old news now, but we did so pretty quickly. We evolved every single element of our business to work in a hybrid role. And I think it's been a net positive.
Yeah.
The historians will be able to look back with a broader perspective on sort of like VMI grads 10 years out, right? They'll be able to look back and say,
that was
wow.
That was really
cool.
that was enriching.
Wow.
It was enriching.
That was a moment in time.
That was, wasn't it?
That happened.
Yeah. I think the ripple effects are
that happened.
Yeah.
still incoming, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, that was like a tsunami wave where there were a bunch of other waves that are still hitting the shore that were a lesser degree. But we never really fully utilized that big 10,000 square foot space. We downsized to the space that we're in now, which is about 4,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And we've got a team now that's in 7 or 8 different states.
Yeah. So talk to me about the evolution of Brian.
Gosh.
So obviously starting companies is one skill set. Having a couple employees is another skill set, right? Having 10 employees is another, and then obviously as you keep growing, it changes.
Yeah.
How have you been able to evolve and adapt? Because even in my own personal limited experience, who I was 3 years ago is obviously vastly different business-wise than today, and for a lot of reasons. But how do you go from the next stage to the next stage, and just keep on keeping on?
Man, probably write a book about that.
Yeah.
It's perseverance is key, right? But I think in terms of how I've evolved, I've looked for help. And I think that would be my key point of advice is as you grow, find a coach, find a mentor, find a business owner like me that's willing to sit down and talk to you about what you're going through and share insights. Join an organization like the Virginia Council of CEOs or similar. I would say that's been seminal for me.
Are you still in there?
I am still in there. Yeah. Yeah, I've been.
Scott.
Yeah, Scott McRoberts. Yeah, you're welcome, Scott. There's your free plug.
Yeah. Oh, he'll get one later.
We'll get
too.
one later.
He'll
Yeah.
get one
Okay,
later.
good. Is this sponsored by the Virginia Council of CEOs? Or
He
something?
does
Last
a question.
question.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, good. Well, that was an unsolicited sponsor or referral recommendation. It has been great for me, honestly. In a lot of ways, being surrounded by other CEOs, it can be really lonely. When you go from 1 employee to 10 employee, it can feel really lonely because suddenly you've got 10 direct reports, which is a lot for one manager, by the way, and you're probably still doing 1 or 2 or 3 jobs, right?
Yeah.
It is a very lonely place, and I was feeling that pretty big time. Like I remember at like 15 or 16 employees, I was sort of at a breaking point where I was like, I need help, I need support, I need mentorship. I have some critical decisions about the business that I need to make, and I don't feel confident about those decisions solo, right? And a lot's weighing in the balances because it's not just me anymore. It's not just me and one other person anymore. It's 17 of us that are all relying on this company to pay for our lifestyle, right? Pay for everything that we've got. So the pressure ratchets up as you grow. Because the responsibility is not just there for yourself; it's certainly there for your team, and so your business acumen has to ratchet up as well. You've got to step up your game. I'm a avid reader. I've got an entire library of business books that I've read that have been really helpful. But I think outside mentorship, everyone uses the tired analogy of like, even Tiger Woods when he was in his prime had a golf coach.
I saw that on LinkedIn the other day, and I said, he actually didn't for a while.
Right.
Funny enough.
Yeah. He needs one now. Right?
Yeah, true.
He needs a life coach.
Yeah.
But, I all that to say, everyone at the top of their game, most everyone at the top of their game has someone helping push them to continue to grow, right? That continual growth is how you become a better leader in a bigger company. Because if you try to stay with the same fixed mindset or the same mindset, if it isn't fixed, that you had when you were solo, the wheels are going to come off the bus pretty quick, right? The skill sets, the understanding, like reading a P&L, understanding a balance sheet, right? Understanding how to leverage.
What is the statement of cash flows?
Right. Those are things you might not know legitimately at a certain stage of the business.
Ballast.
There you go. Yes, especially if you start off young too. Start off your
100%.
business young.
Yeah.
Like when I started Film
Can I pay my
Spires.
mortgage out of the company?
Yeah, there you go. When I was like 26, like I don't know what QuickBooks is or what a P&L is or anything like that. So it's very true.
It's normal.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs and business owners shouldn't be ashamed of that. There's there are a lot of resources out there in all of those different categories. I think a good business coach can be a powerful resource, right? You're going to run into stuff like, what do I do if 2 of my employees start dating?
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff starts to happen, right?
What do you do?
Right. No. Well, ask HR. That's what I do. You revise your employee manual, your HR manual, right? Just make sure you've got that covered. And there's resources for that. But you don't need an HR manual. We call it our shop manual at Workshop, but you don't need one when it's just one employee.
Oh, no.
Right? You just tell someone, hey, this is the way it is. And you learn as you go, but the complexity of the business changes pretty significantly from 1 employee to 10. Mm-hmm. And that, of course, happens again, 10 to 20 is when you really start getting into sort of management tier infrastructure. And then 20 to 30 is where you start bringing in VP or above level infrastructure. So that's senior leadership tier to help guide vision and execute on strategy. So those are pretty monumental. And of course, we haven't gotten there yet, but at 50, at 100, those are pretty big milestones where certainly if you can't operate like a 20-person business at 50 or 100.
Right.
No.
The wheels will come off the bus. So find someone who's already been there. And again, whether it's the VA CEOs or someone else, find someone that's already been there. Yeah.
What hats would you say that you wear today, like in the business?
I'm wearing a few. I'm still a business development manager, leader, BDM. I handle 60%, 70% of our sales. I've got someone under me now. That was an area that I tried to outsource and failed. I tried to bring in at the 30+ level. I tried to bring in an outside resource from another competitive agency that's way bigger than us, thinking that this person's going to have a lot of experience, and that didn't work out. So that was an example of outsource everything you do in order to grow and scale your company. It's like, well, I was really good at sales.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have outsourced that until I was confident that I had the right person in the right seat. So I'd say that's a seat. So I'm also our VP of growth. So I manage our marketing team and our BD team, so marketing manager, and some additional resources underneath of that department that support our internal marketing efforts. I also oversee our HR right now. That was another one where we made a mishire. So I can talk for, I know we're almost at an hour already, but I can talk for an hour just on the mistakes I've made easily. So staffing is a big part of it. But I would say I'm CEO by title on LinkedIn. But I also do most of our sales today. That's going to change in the near future. I've got a great sales team member under me that's taken more and more work on. And I also oversee our broad strategic vision and execution at the company-wide level.
Nice.
So you mentioned, mistakes or things like that. Is there a particular mistake that sticks out that was like lesson learned the hard way that's helped shape you as a leader now today?
I think I would go back to making sure making sure I knew what role I needed to replace and what skills I needed in that role to effectively replace myself in a role before doing it, if that makes any sense. Yeah. You get it. Business owners, as they start to grow the company, get a little excited about the idea of like, oh, I'm going to get out of some of these seats. I'm wearing too many hats, I'm going to take one of these off my plate. I can't wait. I'm going to have so much more time with my wife, my kids, everything else. That can be really alluring, right? You're like, man, yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really, if it's a key role within the position, whether it be a senior HR leader, a senior, we had basically a COO, a VP of operations leader, and a senior sales leader. All three of those were great people, right person, wrong seat.
Yeah.
Weren't the right seat, and we didn't do enough of work up front. I always look at point a thumb, not a finger, right? And we should have done more, and that was my greatest mistake. I think it's like really didn't have the right interview questions set up. I could have also reached out to an executive staffing company for some support with these really critical external roles.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, they're going to charge me 20% on these hires.
Yeah.
Right.
These are 6-figure roles. I want to save some money.
Yeah.
Cheap at what expense, right? I mean, it cost us honestly millions of dollars. These mishires did, these mistakes. And so when I look at, the monetary impact is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to understate losing millions of dollars because you made mishires, right? We've done that. And we've licked our wounds from those hires. But, I think the other part of it, the bigger part of it, is just how it sets back your execution of your vision, right? When you get the wrong person in there, they might not only not fulfill your expectations for the role, but they might start executing over here to the left when you really wanted them to execute over here to the right or down the center. And so to go in and clean that up and to rebuild it, to get those departments functioning as you had envisioned in your overall strategy, can take months to years. We're at 16 plus months on some of the course correction that we've had to do, whereas we could have been 16 months into the future executing on the original vision. So I think I can't underscore enough how critical it is to make sure that any external hire that's going to be in a management or senior leadership role has got to be vetted really carefully. Do not rush to fill those positions, no matter how stressed you are because you've got a lot of hats on at the moment and you're like, oh, what hat am I even wearing right now? It's like, slow your roll, tap the brakes.
Yeah.
Do your due diligence. Even if it takes a year to fill a critical role, that's not too long. If you know that you've done your homework and you've got somebody that's going to come in there and step up. Part of that also means you've got to really make sure you've got the role defined.
You've got to have the role.
You've got to have the role defined. If you've been doing the job, but you've never really defined the job,
it's all in your head,
you're setting that person that you hire up to fail. And so that's why I say, we always point a thumb, not a finger. Those three individuals were lovely people. They're not with us anymore. But I have to look in the mirror and say we could have done better, and matched up the role with someone that was more qualified for specifically what we needed, and we would have been in a different place today. So those are painful lessons to learn as a business leader, but those are sometimes the most valuable as well.
Yeah.
Well, just even auditing your company and then your time too, and just figuring out what do we really need. I made a mistake hiring early on just because I was like, oh yeah, this would be good, right? Like we had this. That person lasted 3 months, but it just was just the wrong role. It was my fault. I mean, it's just we tried to hire someone that didn't make sense and didn't move the needle like we needed to. And it's just the wrong role, right?
Yep.
And so it took a lot of reflection on that side too.
Yeah.
Well, and let's be clear. Sometimes it's the wrong person.
Oh, 100%.
Like
100%.
we look at our batting average, with hiring, like, are they still with us in 3 years? And we feel like we do pretty well. And I don't know that there's an industry benchmark on like recruiting quality, but we have a rock star recruiter on our team, and even he, it's taken him a while to learn our business so that he can find the right roles across a wide variety of different skill sets that we might be hiring for.
Yeah.
So, to hire a full-time recruiter is a big deal, right? It means you anticipate consistent growth. You're going to need to hire people a lot. To get that person to where they can find quality recruits, especially during the COVID era, which was, the great resignation era. Unemployment is the lowest it's been in 50, 60 years. People had choice. People were working remote. People were working multiple jobs at the same time. And, there was a lot of sketchy stuff going on. It was a very, very challenging time as an employer to find talented people that actually were going to show up and do what they said they were. So hats off to the recruiters that are out there. I know they've all been hustling hardcore. It is a undervalued and critically important role. A great recruiter is worth their money times 1,000. Because they really do make or break the company. Bad hires will absolutely cripple your growth.
Totally.
That's a great point.
I know. Great point.
One of my favorite questions to ask Brian, every guest, is if you could sit right here and instead of it being Christian, it was Brian from 2009. What are, 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you would give that guy, in 2009?
Man. It's funny. What I might do is ask the guy from 2009 to give this guy advice. I feel like, I know it's counterintuitive, but I feel like the naive optimism of an entrepreneur who has just jumped out of the nest
is super high.
Is incredible.
Yeah.
The old
like
the old man
Park.
that's flown several loops around the mountainside and been battered by all the weather, that's jaded and everything else. You start to lose a little bit of that, right? So I'm looking for that. I'm always looking for that hungry. I love hanging out with entrepreneurs. Like, I look back at like old me that was doing stuff back then, and I think, that was smart. I would say to like people that are just getting started or wherever they are on their entrepreneurial journey is like, trust your gut isn't bad advice. You can also gut check your instincts with Council of CEOs or a mentor, or whatever, business coach. Having those people around and being able to gut check your ideas is certainly good. But don't be afraid to take risks. One thing that has happened as we've gotten larger is for us, we've become more risk adverse.
Sure.
And when you're young,
more people and more
Yeah.
you have more, expenses, of course, and payroll and,
I think that's why companies lose their edge. Honestly, I think they become more concerned about risk, right? And certainly risk management is a critical element of strategic business leadership.
Yep.
And no matter what business you're in. But when entrepreneurs are hungry and they're like, I'm rolling the dice, they're willing to take bigger risks, and those bigger risks can often pay out, bigger rewards as well. Mm-hmm. And I think if you start to move too cautiously, and if you start to overthink everything to the point where you've analyzed it for 3 or 4 or 5 years, the opportunity's probably passed you by, right? Mm-hmm. I don't mean to say go out and rush at every single idea you have, because that is actually a potential negative that entrepreneurs have. Is we have like 10,
shiny object.
We have 10 ideas a day. You know, and we think they're the best idea ever, right? Which is why it's important to validate that. You know, Andrew has been a great checks and balances for me because I'm the idea guy, and then he'll be like, "Well, that's
He's more the systems
Have you
guy.
thought about blah, 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 blah? Like have someone to bounce it off of?" But I think I would look back at 2009 me and be like, "Do what you're doing." Yeah, do what you're doing. You know, don't listen to the people that are telling you that you can't do it.
Right.
Because I will tell you, like, my own parents were telling me, you can't do it. Like, those are the people that I thought, surely I could get a vote of confidence from them.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
You know, but
That's funny.
they both had jobs their whole life. They didn't, you know, they didn't, and, you know, my dad got bit by the entrepreneurial bug once and he got burned and he was like, you know, so if I had listened to them, I'd be behind a desk somewhere right now doing something that I didn't want to do, right? This is what I was born to do, and I'm good at it, and I enjoy doing it. Yeah. And I think it's critical to not listen to the haters, even if they're. I had friends too. I went and hang out with my friends, and I'm like, I'm getting ready to launch this business. They were like,
nice.
What? Okay. What makes you think you can do that, right? Yeah. And then the imposter syndrome can set in, and you think, well, what does make me think I can do that? Maybe it's going to fail. Like, take the risk. There's always another desk job waiting for you.
100%.
And don't listen to the people that are telling you can't do it.
Yeah.
Because they are scared because they haven't done it, right? And that's going to be true once you're successful too. Those same people are still going to be haters. They're going to be out there. But now they're going to be like, wow, congratulations. I saw you were Virginia Best Places to Work. Now they're like, yeah. But they didn't, they weren't your cheerleader when you were in the trenches slogging along, right? Yeah. And so I think when you find like-minded people, so if you join a peer group or if you just go to networking events and meet other CEOs and get on podcasts like this or go grab, beers
Founder
or coffees
beers.
or whatever, founder beers,
You need
man.
to reintroduce that. You still do it?
Yeah, we still do it.
All right, there you go. All right, so
we still do it. Yeah. I mean, and if you don't drink founders coffees, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's get together with people that are like-minded. Mm-hmm. And you'll be surprised what you can achieve, right? If you're around people with limited mindsets or that are going to shoot down every idea you have, you're going to end up with limited outcomes. Mm-hmm. But if you're with people that have big ideas and have unlimited visions of what is possible, you're going to see the same thing.
Love that.
I love that. Brian, I'm going to bug you to figure out when you're going to start it up again, but you help organize this great group of CEOs who are other marketing agencies and things like that. And for me, that was huge. Again, when you start a business young, you're typically always the youngest CEO in the room and things like that. So me being in a group with all these other people like the Hodges Partnership or, Dotted Line or whoever, all the other agencies in town, I'm just drilling questions because it's just so valuable for that. So it's just great to get other CEOs together and just spitball and share ideas and things like that. Yeah, there's a lot of just gold that comes from that. Plus, going back to the isolation thing, you don't feel like you're a man on an island basically.
Times 10 because of COVID because you're maybe at home.
Yeah.
Right. So unless you're in a co-working space, which I also recommend co-working spaces as a great way to get out there, meet people, shake hands. Your next customer could be sitting right there next to you. We'll get that started back up.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that I'm wearing a lot of hats.
You are. Yeah.
And which is not an excuse, right? But that's the excuse we make. And so I'm like, if I get this off my plate, I can fire this back up. But you're right. That was super valuable. And wow, what a talented community we've got on the marketing side, on the creative side, on the brand side, PR side here in Richmond. We're really lucky.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that early on. I'm glad you brought that up. What is up with Richmond? And there are so many creatives agencies, marketing agencies that are between 10 and 100 employees. There's so many of them in Richmond.
You just throw a rock and you'll hit one, basically.
Do you think it's because of just the scene today? You think it's because of
Martin?
Do you think it's
I think the Martin Agency and VCU's Brand Center.
Oh, I forget
big
about
shout out
the
to Brand Center. VCU Brand Center turns out a lot of talent that starts their career over at the Martin Agency.
Mm-hmm.
We are very lucky to have the Martin Agency headquartered here in town, and they've been a powerhouse for decades, right? And what happens is a lot of folks do their time there and then go out and do their own thing.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of business owners, like the guys Dustin and Justin from Familiar Creatures. They're awesome. They're doing great work on the creative side and That they
What
came
a
out
co-founder
of the
name,
Martin
Dustin
shop.
and Justin.
Yeah, I know. The Ustons, D and J.
The Austins.
Yeah, they're great guys. So there's a lot of folks like that, right? That came out of there. I think Ron Carey and the folks from Tilt. I think a lot of those folks are ex Martin Agency folks. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Andrew, my co-founder, he's an ex Martin guy. So there's that. I think the other thing that's true though is, for as small of a city as Richmond is, like Metro, we're talking 1.5, 1.2, 1.5.
Yeah.
That's Metro, so that's a big circle around, not
that's
just
Colonial
downtown.
Heights.
Right, right. That's going out there.
30-mile radius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big generous.
We're a small town, but we've got a lot of Fortune 500s. We've got a lot of big businesses that have big marketing needs. And they're able to shop homegrown, which is pretty cool as well. And so I think those big businesses, and then all of the the thousands, tens of thousands of other businesses that are trying to grow around here, are able to tap into the deep well of creative resources that we've got here in Richmond. And be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to the In Your Ear folks too. I mean, on the music, audio recording side, they've been a cornerstone of the creative movement here in town, and they've been a gathering place for creatives forever too, right? And so Shaco Sessions is the thing that they host, and Carlos has been a very active member of this community, and I think that's one of the other things about Richmond. It is we pull ourselves up by our bootstraps type of community. We support each other. And I think you don't get that everywhere else. I was in LA, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah. There's none of that.
There's none.
It is, I will stab you in the back to take from you culture there.
Right.
Claw your way to the top. You don't want to work until 3 a.m. There's 7 people standing outside that want your job right now. That's that kind of mentality. Way more cooperative and collaborative here. Like you mentioned, we've got a group of digital marketing, branding, videography, PR folks that we get together to talk shop, and we're sharing, how is your business doing? How are you driving leads? What's working? What's not working? Can we collaborate? Can we partner? We're sending each other referrals, right? Yeah. We're helping each other's businesses grow. We overlap sometimes, right? So it would be easy to say, well, we compete on this one thing, so I'm not going to let you in. We host I'll do a quick plug for Digital RVA. Yeah. We host a nonprofit group for marketers, right? It's not just digital, but it is more of a digital focus because a lot of stuff is digital these days, called Digital RVA. We host it. It's free. And it's drinks, it's food. We've got one coming up next Thursday with Tim Taliaferro from Arrow. He's going to be speaking about top-down versus bottom-up funnels. So quick plug for that. It's just a great way for marketers to meet, right? We get people from VCU Brand Center all the way up to seasoned marketing execs of Fortune 500 brands that come to these meetings. So it's a great cross-section of the marketing community. I highly encourage people to come out to that. It's free, and if you like beer or wine or water,
we got
you covered.
Or people.
Hear smart people speak, right? It's good networking, stuff like that. So why Richmond? Richmond is one of the best cities in this country, and I'm not saying that just because I live here. I've been to other cities. This city punches way above its weight, and I'm a little nervous even putting it out there because I don't want the word to get out there too much. I feel like right now it's kind of at this point where it's almost getting too big.
Yeah.
But man, is it a great place to live and work. And if you're an entrepreneur, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a better place to work. I think Virginia was actually rated one of the best business communities, MSNBC or something multiple years in a row. It's a fact. You're not going to get better support. You get support from the government too. The local governments and everything have all sorts of economic development programs to help support local businesses and help them grow. Yeah. So great community to work in. And I will in my plug for Richmond there.
Love it.
Yeah. Favorite restaurant?
Ooh, well, I would probably go with the cliche Stella's answer.
I was just there last week.
I love it. It's timeless.
The vibe in there.
The Giavos family.
It's so good. The food's obviously very good, right? And the wine's good.
100%. The Giavos family's got it going on.
They're
the vibe in there is killer. And it's timeless.
Incredible family. Yeah.
They haven't really had to update it, and it's still epic. Food's great. You get these family-sized portions. But I would throw out a little bit of a curveball now because I've got a new emerging favorite, and it's a tiny little hole in the wall called Celadora. Have you been there yet? Mm-mm. It's a natural wine shop. It's in the Fan on Lombardi. And
yeah.
if you blink, you'll miss it. It's, I think, 4 or 5 tables. Some of the best food in Richmond is coming out of a kitchen that's smaller, I'm not kidding you, than this podcast booth.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible spot. The wine is amazing. Super friendly staff, amazing food.
Okay.
Call ahead, obviously, because they got 4 tables. If you just walk in, you're not going to get one.
For a long time.
But if you call in, like, they have cancellations and stuff. We've been pretty lucky about snagging one last minute because my wife and I are like notoriously bad at making reservations, even though unfortunately Richmond is a city where you need reservations
Really
now.
is. Some restaurants.
Yeah. But no, Celadora, highly recommend.
I have to check that out.
Celadora.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, I love that.
Man.
We've
Dude,
covered a lot.
This has been great.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
We always ask a couple last questions.
Yes.
to the guest. So we're gonna do full circle to the volunteering and the nonprofit space. So as a thank you for being a guest on the show, we make a small donation to whatever nonprofit that you want us to.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Shout out whoever you want.
So shout out whoever you want.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Big
I've
pressure.
got a new one that just popped up on my radar.
Ooh,
Yeah, let's
okay.
hear it.
There we go.
I believe it's called Music Orchard, but let me just verify that because I don't want to get it wrong on the podcast. Yeah, let me do a quick. Yes, Music Orchard,
Okay.
Richmond. They are a nonprofit whose goal is to get musical instruments into the hands of kids that otherwise would not have access to musical instruments, and then provide them with education and training. Music is very near and dear to my heart. I came from a musical family. I pursued a career there because I thought that was where I could make my passion for music overlap with actually making money.
Especially an artist. I mean, these days.
Yeah, it's hard, right? So I just automatically gravitated to that when they reached out. And so I think they're doing some really great stuff. They've got some events coming up. You can go check out their website and go see some of these kids perform. And it's pretty powerful stuff what they're doing. Yeah.
Awesome.
And
We'll
they're
make sure to
small
tag
and they
them
need
and-
support. So get out there and support them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys do that. This is super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
We love doing
Heck
that.
yeah.
It's a big part of it. Yeah.
And then the last question, which obviously you're already involved in, Scott at Vasios.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about it, like the leadership and like loneliness at the top. But the Virginia Council of CEOs asks, as a CEO, it can be lonely at the top. How do you deal with that loneliness? Like join the council, I guess.
Yeah. You've got to find an outlet for sharing how you're feeling. Not just I'm dealing with these business challenges, but it impacts your whole life, right? There is no work-life balance. It's life. Life includes work sometimes and not work sometimes, right? But I think work-life balance is a challenging concept to try to grasp, right? It's about managing how you're feeling, managing your emotions. It's about looking for support, looking for resources, looking for help, right? Because it does get lonely at the top. No one, even your spouse and he or she or they are going to be closest to it. But even they don't fully get it.
Yeah.
Unless they also own a business, which my wife does. And so
there you go.
So she's there. Oh, we're on the island together. But
That's why you guys drink so much wine.
yeah, that's right. It helps. But the VA CEOs, the VOS CEOs, Virginia Council of CEOs has been a great resource for me. And I think, this is not a plug because they're a paid endorser. It's coming from the heart. I mean, they do provide a great opportunity for complete and total safety, cone of silence level safety to share what's really going on in your business with other people who are almost certainly going through the same stuff. You only feel alone when you feel like you're the only person going through it, right? As soon as you get it out there into the world and you realize other people are going through this stuff too, that sense of loneliness goes away and a sense of camaraderie replaces it, right? And so for me, the council has always been that, right? It's not just here's my work stuff. It's here's my personal stuff, right? Because being a CEO, no joke, can cause physical ailments, right? You can get stressed to the point where physical stuff starts happening, right? Especially if you're holding it in and you're all alone, right? We all go through that.
I have a great low back in case anyone's wondering.
Right.
No problems
Yeah,
there.
you sit at a desk for 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, like it is a great place. And it's also a great place just to go have fun. It's not all serious stuff too. It's also a place to go celebrate your wins. Because sometimes when you're smashing it, all right, and you're like, we just had an amazing profitability month.
Yeah.
You want to share that with someone. Who do you share that with, right? Like you can be isolated on the good times too, where like, this is epic. Or you might have an opportunity to acquire a business or be acquired by a business, right?
Yeah.
Like who are you going to share that with, right? Like that peer group is clutch. So even if the VA CEOs isn't for you, find a network of common people with common interests, preferably without a competitive overlap.
Sure.
Because if there's competitive overlap, you're not going to want to share the details.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's key. There has to be, with the council, they make sure there's no competitive overlap. And if someone new comes into the group, everyone else in the group has to give it a thumbs up first. Yep, they don't overlap with me. It's not about directly growing your business, although I've done that as a byproduct of being in the council too.
Sure.
But it is really about finding a network of people for all of the different business needs that you might have.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Love that. Brian, how can people get in touch with you or Workshop Digital? Let us know how people can reach out.
They can email me at brian@workshopdigital.com, or they can visit us at workshopdigital.com, or they can hit me up on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Or Twitter.
Or formerly Twitter. Yeah, my profile's still there. My last tweet was probably 2015 or 16.
Yeah.
Fun fact,
you got what you needed.
Fun fact, Twitter was a client of ours.
Really?
For many, many years until Elon bought it.
Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks,
Talk
Elon.
about innovation.
I know. Brian, this has been awesome. Thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate it. It's been a great conversation, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's great.